Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second installment of the Teams in 20 series. Today, we'll be talking about Adobe and Teams. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over a few event etiquette and housekeeping things. During the presentation, you can type in your questions in the chat or in the Q&A function, and we will make sure to go through and answer all those questions. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Ben and Lee, who will bring today's session about Adobe and Teams.
Hi, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
So before we go on, I'll just make a start and just a very quick introduction. So my name's Lee, Client Success Manager at Microsoft, and me and Ben are today going to try to show you a demo, not just talk about the Adobe Sign and Adobe Reader products within Teams.
Yeah, my name is Ben Rommel. I'm a Customer Success Manager in the same team as Lee. We primarily focus on the financial services and insurance industry, but obviously fully aware that your attendees will be attending from all different areas today. So very happy to be speaking about Adobe and Adobe Sign in Teams today. Cool. So let's get started. I guess let's start off with just sort of the bog standard Adobe Acrobat in Teams. So the Adobe Teams integration really allows for all those PDFs that you use or share within Teams chats, OneDrives, or in the wider Microsoft 365 ecosystem to become centrally accessible directly within Teams. And obviously that integration, we know the desktop client has got numerous features, but the great thing is that these capabilities have been brought into the Teams integration as well. So Adobe in Teams can allow you to view PDFs, edit them, so you can organize pages, combine files, but lastly, allow for that real-time collaboration with colleagues as well. So you might sort of be asking yourselves, why Adobe Acrobat in Teams? Primarily, it offers that streamlined PDF experience right in the flow of work, and hopefully we can showcase that later on with a little demo as well. So in terms of mind-blowing statistics, the value of Adobe Acrobat in Teams is immense. So first off, you can gain around 48% efficiency when integrating document processes into tools which people use every day. And that's insane. But secondly, on average, 43 hours per year are saved by integrating Adobe Acrobat into Microsoft applications. So the bottom line here really is that Adobe Acrobat and Teams can really help boost employee experience, increase efficiency, and lastly, drive heaps of collaboration. So I'm just going to hand over to Lee to cover off a bit of Adobe Sign as well.
Okay, thank you, Ben. So yeah, nice to meet everybody today. So yeah, so I'm Lee. I work very closely with Ben. I just want to share something really sort of interesting. I've only been with Microsoft for 4 months. My background, however, is I worked for a top 10 building society in the UK for 24 years. As part of that journey, I also brought in Adobe Sign into the building society I worked for, which resulted in 200,000 documents a year going through the Adobe Sign process and using the app. So I really feel as though I just want to share with you, I suppose, the experiences I had with that. So similar to Ben, I suppose, why Adobe Sign within Teams? So the standalone Adobe Sign product, for those of you that use it, we all know it's absolutely amazing. It's a game changer in terms of turnaround of documents. It reduces carbon footprint and other associated costs. But using it within Teams, you can actually probably go one step further than that. So additional features within Teams, and I'll show you a bit of a snippet of what it looks like in a second, is there's an Adobe Sign bot within Teams. So for those of you who are sending out documents on a daily basis to a number of customers or clients or people internally, there can be a bit of time wastage sometimes with checking status of those documents, following them up, chasing where they're at, etc., etc. Yes, there's the feature in there, the remind feature. However, the bot within Teams is a simple feature where you can ask the bot the status of any documents at any one time. It saves you having to go in and look for the document, and it will report back pretty much in real time as to what documents are outstanding and in need of signature. We all know about the video capabilities and sort of future roadmap of Adobe Sign as well, and there is some future roadmap capabilities coming down the line that will provide additional features. So watch this space on that, I suppose. If you can move on to the next slide, please. I just wanted to share this slide that Adobe have shared with us, and this is probably for both Adobe Acrobat Reader and Sign, and it's a really good, almost easy, simplistic visualization as to why use things within Teams. So Ben mentioned there the features of using Reader within Teams. There's a really good bit there. We always get the questions asked right from our compliance and legal areas. Well, what about data? What about audit functions? Tagging of any documents, for example, there's a full audit trail of any tagging and notes that go on within any document, sticky booking and things like that. So that to me stood out as a real good one. If you need to run a report as to who's touched that PDF document, who's commented on that document, it's a real quick, snappy way of pulling that report and just having a look at the full journey of where that document has been and who has seen that. So what I want to do, if okay, is I want to do a bit of a screen share and just show you what does both Adobe Reader and Adobe Sign look like within Teams. Now, for those of you that use the standalone applications, this will be quite familiar, but I will try and show you some of the sort of standalone additional features as well. So Ben, if you can just kindly tell me when you can see my screen, please.
I can see your screen.
Excellent. So within Teams, first of all, I just want to point out for any sort of more IT-based people who may be on the call, how easy is it to install the applications? It's what we call a zero install feature. So it is literally you go and search for the applications, you download them, and instantly they will appear. Clearly, there's certain limitations within your IT policies about who can download those applications, and those can be set internally by your IT sort of gatekeepers, I suppose. But once the actual applications have been downloaded, there's the usual capability, as per any sort of other applications, of being able to pin those to the bar. And this is just a real quick snippet as the admin center as to how you would do that. Okay, so you can see there, for example, we've got Adobe Acrobat, we've got Adobe Sign, and the sort of standard applications down the side. So once the download has taken place, as I say, by sticking them to the taskbar on the left-hand side, you click on that, and this is a very familiar feature, as I say, for everybody who uses Adobe Acrobat Reader. So you've got the same layout, the same functionality. If you have the premium features, they will also appear in there as well. It initially presents you, once you go into the chat, with a very nice landing page and welcome to Adobe Reader within Teams. And there's almost a bit of a tutorial about what features and how to kick off those features within Teams on there. So if you scroll through that, it will tell you the benefits and everything else and how to open channels. And then if you click on the About, again there, it gives you some really good sort of rundown as to the features that are within that particular version of Adobe Acrobat at that time. So if you click on to the Adobe Sign one, again, for those Adobe Sign users that are out there, this screen will be very, very familiar with you. So this is your usual Adobe Sign landing page. So you can see there previous documents that you've sent out. You can request signatures from this. You can manage any agreements and any workflows, and all the usual admin functions that come along if you're an admin user as well within Sign. The beauty of using it within Teams, as I mentioned earlier, certainly with Sign, is there is a chat. There is a chat bot within the system as well. So if you look at the top here, it gives me some useful, helpful tips about how to check status of documents. So if I've got a document that's out for signature and I literally put check status, the bot will go away and it will ask me, is there any particular name of document I'm looking for? So if I just type in test document, again, the bot will come back. There we go. So that will find the actual particular document under that name. That is a really, really good feature. And there are other features in there as well. So if you hover over the chat, it will come up and will give you other suggestions as well. So you can show documents for other users and other work groups. You can sign in and sign out from here, and there's new features of utilizing that bot all the time being added. So yeah, that to me is a game changer, and that's just within the usual chat within Teams. So you can see there's a chat for Adobe Sign and a chat for Acrobat. Clearly, if you had any channels configured and you were collaborating on any documents internally or externally, that would be in there as well. Okay. If you just bear with me, I'll stop sharing. So I suppose really what me and Ben have been kind of saying here is the standalone products are amazing, as we all know, for those of you that use them. There is additional functionality. Please utilize the functionality, because that can be an absolute game changer. It's free to download the apps. So if you've already got the products, I suppose the question is, why wouldn't you do that? If you do have any questions around how the apps are used in a bit more detail, I've just added on here some additional information and resources. Now, these pages are Adobe information on adobe.com. Also, feel free to reach out to your client success managers at Adobe as well. But yeah, please, after this session, go in and take a look at the additional slides and information that are on the links on the slide there. Ben, I don't know if you've anything to add on what we've said already before we move to any questions.
No, I think that's all. I think we've covered everything there. Obviously, super powerful tool, and really highly recommend people investigating this for each of their organizations. But I think, yeah, if you have any questions, I think we can go from there.
Has anyone got any questions?
There are some in the chat here, Lee, so I can maybe call some out if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So someone asked, is there a special license required for any of the functions when using Adobe in Teams?
So for Adobe, that's a good question. So for Adobe Reader, if you have the PDF, your default PDF viewer as Adobe Acrobat Reader, you should be able to utilize the features you've already got in the standalone application within Teams. The free version of Adobe Reader already has a number of features included with the free version. However, the premium version has additional features in there as well. And with Adobe Sign, if you're Adobe Sign customer already and you've got an existing license, and it's just literally a case of downloading and implementing that within Teams.
Cool. Someone asked, when viewing the reader in Teams on mobile, will the PDF automatically reflow to mobile-friendly format?
Again, a very good question. So my understanding is at the moment there is certain limitations to using mobile technology with viewing PDF on mobile devices. However, I understand that is in the roadmap for a future release with Adobe. I believe that's this year, so watch this space on that.
Fantastic. You mentioned earlier, Lee, that people could get in touch with their Adobe CSM. How do you find out who your contact is?
So I would probably start by just asking around your business to see who the account holder is internally. The account holder of the Adobe products within your business should be in regular contact and have access to the client success manager. So ask around and just reach out. And as I say, regular contact does take place between Adobe and customers on a regular basis, talking to experience.
Brilliant. Can you utilize the fill and sign element of Adobe Acrobat Pro as an alternative to getting Adobe Sign?
So again, a very good question. So my understanding of how that works is there are certain limitations. If you don't have an Adobe Sign license, there are certain limitations to what features with obtaining electronic signatures are within Reader. Probably that's a good question maybe to reach out and see what's included with your account holder as part of your Adobe package.
Sounds good. When signing documents, are they recognized legally? My service needs signed consent from parents for activities. Can we use Adobe Signs?
So the use of electronic signatures generally is legally binding, yes. With specific cases, and certainly around the user case there that Christina's mentioned, it may be worth just reaching out to your compliance or legal teams, or if you've got anyone you can reach out to just to double check on that. Again, if you're an Adobe Sign customer already, Adobe will be able to support you themselves with confirming that. I do know that they do dedicated sessions around the legality of electronic signatures and what things are included and what aren't. So, for example, in my world, when I used to deal with mortgages, mortgage deeds could not be signed electronically and had to be wet signatures. That is changing. So there are certain exceptions to the rule, but what I would say is reach out and certainly get Adobe to maybe come and do a bit of a session around legality of electronic signatures.
Fantastic. I think those were all the other questions. Unless anyone else wants to raise their hand and maybe come off mute or post an additional question into the chat, feel free to do so. Feel free to come off mute.
Oh, that would be me. Hi, guys. Thanks for the presentation. Really good stuff to see. This is probably something you're not going to be able to answer, but I'm going to ask on the off chance anyway. So given that now Adobe and you put in loads of different applications within Teams as well, which is great, do we think that there is a future of us using the other Adobe applications within Teams as well? So the example I want to use is video editing software. At the moment, it pulls all the data using video editing software locally from the machine. It's not all up in the cloud and stuff like that. Do you think that's on the roadmap to come so we can share projects with each other?
That's certainly a question we can take away and ask the experts at Adobe. We do have some good contacts at Adobe, and that's certainly something we can ask. What's the name of the software, sorry, that you're using?
So the one specifically I'm talking about is Adobe Premiere Pro. So basically all the files that you import into it has to be done locally from the machine you're using. So when you're trying to share projects, you have to share all the individual files as well, which can be a pain rather than being on SharePoint.
Okay, can we? You're right. I don't have the answer for that today.
Yeah.
But if I can certainly take that away and ask the question and post the answer in here.
Wicked. That would be perfect.
Thank you. And did I see another hand pop up?
Yeah, Lindsay.
Hi. At the moment, I use Adobe. Let me have a look. Adobe Acrobat 2017 to redact documents. Which would I use out of the Adobe Reader or Sign to get the same function?
So that again is probably an account related question. It all depends on what the sort of details of your agreement is, I suppose, with Adobe, and what your renewal status is and things like that. So my understanding with the version of Adobe Acrobat that's used within Teams is it's the cloud-based version. And with it being cloud-based, obviously that updates on a regular basis. Whether it can be sourced into using specific versions, I'd probably reach out to your Adobe rep for that and just check, is there an opportunity to upgrade maybe? What would be the cost, if any, to that? And just get them to sort of advise on that really.
Okay, so do any of those versions, what's available on Teams would enable me to be able to redact a document?
Yes, it would. Yes,
it would.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
What I would maybe suggest is download the version, get it pinned to the sidebar, maybe start using it, see if it works for you, and then explore business cases.
We have to request the download, so I've requested it, both versions. So hopefully won't take too long, and I'll give it a go. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Anybody else? I think we're good on time, Zane.
Perfect. Thank you so much to both of you for running this session. I'm sure everyone found it useful. And again, we will be uploading the recording on our YouTube channel, which I've posted in the chat. Please feel free to fill out the survey as well. I put the link in the chat as well. Make sure to join us next week, same time on Wednesday at 12 p.m. for accessibility top tips in Teams, which is a session that I will be running. I don't know if someone raised their hand or they're trying to react to something. No, I think they were trying to react. But yeah, thank you so much for attending, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.